Brits are wondering about the Astrazeneca vaccination stops. Euro-skeptics even see them as revenge for Brexit. The news that in many European countries the inoculation of the Astrazeneca vaccine is being suspended for the time being caused astonishment in the kingdom. Euro-skeptics want to recognize a smear campaign against the British-Swedish vaccine in the sense of a revenge for Brexit. On Downing Street, they wanted to have the Union Jack printed on the vaccine bottles. This wish expressed by the British government was rejected. No, the wish was rejected by the British government, but I trust them to do a lot. But conservative politicians in particular never tire of celebrating the vaccine developed by Oxford University in collaboration with the Swedish company Astrazeneca as a great British success. Prime Minister Boris Johnson spoke of a triumph for Great Britain's science after admission to the UK. Experts reject such statements and even warn of the consequences of this vaccine nationalism. However, this is only likely to contribute to a limited extent to why the British are significantly more positive about the vaccine. One thing seems to be much more decisive. People simply trust their own scientists and health authorities, as well as the World Health Organization and their data. More than 11 million doses of AstraZeneca have already been used in the country, and so far there have been no signs of an increased incidence of thrombosis, according to the UK's drug and health regulator MHRA, but there were cases. They do not think it is appropriate to stop vaccinating at this point in time and rather encourages people to keep their appointments. We are scrutinizing the reports, but the evidence does not suggest that the vaccine is the cause, said Phil Bryan of the MHRA. So the vaccination continues on the island. Almost half of the adult population has already received at least the first dose. More than 26 million vaccinations have been carried out so far, whether in vaccination centers, in pharmacies, with general practitioners, or in converted cathedrals and rugby stadiums. And the British are proud of the success of the program, implemented with great efficiency by the National Health Service, NHS. The news that in many European countries the inoculation of the AstraZeneca vaccine is being suspended for the time being aroused above all astonishment and incomprehension. There is still nothing to suggest that the people on the island will be irritated by it. Nevertheless, politicians of all stripes hasten to refer to the assurances of regulators and scientists. Both Prime Minister Johnson and the First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, stressed that the AstraZeneca vaccine, unlike in other countries, the Oxford vaccine is often referred to here, is safe and effective. MPs called on the British to ignore the fake news from the continent and to accept the invitation to the Spades. In any case, numerous Eurosceptic observers suspect a smear campaign against the kingdom, even if there are no starting points for it. But they always blame anything on others. But the relationship between London and the EU is tense after years of disputes over Britain's exit. Some would even call it poisoned. The recent chaos on the other side of the continent is therefore used as a welcome opportunity for criticism. For example, Tory MP Anthony Brown complained that European politicians were driven by politics, not science. The Brexit pouting will cost human lives in the EU. As in the past few weeks, when some newspapers, especially the colorful newspapers, mocked the slow vaccination progress on the mainland with glee, the Eurosceptic press did not focus on national governments, but on their favorite opponent, the EU. Although the Union had nothing to do with the AstraZeneca stop, it was unceremoniously rated as an act of revenge against the kingdom by Brussels. Daring EU rejects Great Britain vaccination was the headline of the Daily Mail. The tabloid Daily Express called it shameful and also made the EU a scapegoat. What else do you expect from them? The bankruptcies on the continent are exploited as the best advertisement for Brexit, according to the motto, "Freed from the chains of the bureaucratic and slow EU, the independent Great Britain was able to allow faster, buy more quantities earlier and more quickly, and is now making faster progress with vaccination." The fun point is, on that claim, you started with the German-American vaccine, your campaign. And the other point is, it is a safety measure. It was suspended to use it because of the cases that are known. And when our scientific council, we have a scientific council that gives advice to the government. And there we are not politics, it's science. When the scientific council tells me as a health minister that this needs to be checked and for the time being the vaccination needs to be suspended, any health minister would be suicidal to do something opposite to what they advised in this case. And that's exactly what happened here in Germany. The council advised the minister to suspend the use for until they check the data. And as far as I have heard today, the council will make new advice or will give new advice tomorrow. And so we will see what happens. But this, just to make it one more time clear, this is based on science and based on scientific advice, not politics. And the decision was made by the national governments. Not all member states of the EU have suspended the use of Astrazeneca, but several have, and they made that decision as sovereign nations. But there's not everything going that nicely in the UK as well. Because Labour has told the government to disclose how much money it has spent on adverts, which they say illustrate pretty deep denial over how post-Brexit paperwork is affecting British businesses. In a letter to Cabinet Office Minister David Frost, who led the UK's trade negotiations with the EU, Shadow Cabinet Office Minister Jack Dromey asked him to reveal how much the government has forked out on sponsored articles in media outlets promoting the apparent success of UK businesses in adapting to the new trading arrangements with the EU. The adverts, which appeared in the Metro, the Daily Mail and the Sun in recent weeks, showed great disrespect to the many businesses who feel they are on the edge of a precipice because of the great difficulty navigating the new trading rules negotiated by the government, said the letter. The articles contain interviews with the owners of 3 firms which, according to the government, are going from strength to strength under the new terms of the UK's trade with the EU. They are Control Techniques, a manufacturer of electric motor technology in Wales, Portsmouth-based marine technology company RS Aqua, and Lily Pads, a personal hygiene company in Edinburgh which exports reusable period pads to a number of EU member states. In the articles, Anthony Pickering, owner of Techniques, says, while there are some delays to trade, he believes it will all figure itself out and that his commitment to Europe has actually strengthened. Alison Wood, who co-founded Lilypad, says, "It has been a few months of growth and change for us, but other than that, things are looking just fine." Labour said the cases fail to reflect the disruption facing thousands of businesses across a range of industries whose trade with the EU is being hampered by taxing new paperwork. These adverts claim that British business is going from strength to strength under the new trade rules and that companies are keen to build on the success of trading with Europe, which, while recognizing the deep resilience and perseverance of our brilliant British businesses, ignores the alarm bells they have been sounding about a lack of government support on these matters, the letter to Frost said. Many exporters to the EU have been overwhelmed by post-Brexit customs and health paperwork since January 1st, with lengthy delays leading some European customers to cancel orders. Stark Office for National Statistics figures released last week showed that UK exports to the continent across all industries dropped by an eye-watering 41% in January after Britain left the EU Single Market and Customs Union on New Year's Eve. Food exports took the biggest hit, with the ONS reporting a 63% fall. Fish and shellfish exports to the EU collapsed by 83%, while meat with 59% and dairy with 50% sales decreased sharply too. Frost tweeted, "Caution should be applied when interpreting these statistics," and that the government expected an unusual drop in cross-border trade because many businesses stockpiled goods in the run-up to the UK, leaving the Brexit transition period on New Year's Eve. The closure of retail and hospitality businesses on the continent in response to the coronavirus pandemic also meant there was reduced demand for UK goods, he added. However, James Withers of Scotland Food and Drink said last week that Brexit was right at the heart of this trade collapse due to the creation of huge, new, non-tariff trade barriers with our biggest export market. The grim figures simply can't be talked away as a COVID issue, he said. The crash in UK trade has not been in sales to non-EU markets, despite it being a global pandemic. Also, we did not see a fall like this at any point during the first lockdown. Numerous other sectors have warned the government that many issues businesses are facing are not teething problems, but structural consequences of the UK's new relationship with the EU, enshrined in the trade deal signed by the two sides in December. Dromey, the Labour MP for Birmingham Erdington, told Frost that Labour had heard testimony from businesses across a wide range of sectors, from hauliers to the fishing industry to those running our country's fashion sector, who have faced significant disruption and delays due to the new trading arrangements, with very little support from the government. He also asked Frost to explain how ministers plan to address the significant shortfall in customs agents needed to carry out post-Brexit checks at Britain's borders. There are industry warnings that the UK needs an additional 30,000 to cope with the extra regulations. How will this gap be filled, and what is the government going to do to strengthen this badly needed resource for British businesses? Dromey wrote to the UK's chief negotiator. The shadow minister told reporters that the adverts paid for by government showed just how back to front its priorities are. He said, instead of listening to and engaging with businesses and exporters and taking practical action to help them deal with reams of new costly red tape, the government seems in pretty deep denial about the real work it needs to put in to support industry. A government spokesperson said, "The UK transition communications campaign has always been focused on getting the country ready for the changes that came into force on January 1st, and it has been successful, reaching 99.7% of UK adults. While the vast majority of businesses and citizens have taken the necessary steps to prepare, some still need to adjust to our new relationship with the EU, and we will continue to support them to do so, including through our communications campaign." Last week, the government moved to delay a fresh wave of post-Brexit paperwork by 6 months in order to give businesses and ports more time to prepare. Michael Gove, the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, announced that checks on EU goods entering the UK would begin in October, not in April as originally planned, while physical checks on animal and plant goods from the continent would not begin until 2022. Industry groups had warned ministers that the new checks would have disrupted food supplies when demand was set to rocket due to the reopening of restaurants, pubs, and food retailers. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.